Hi friends, my name is Host Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People and a typologist. I would like to present this video called 3 Tests to Change Everything, because it's my basic position that most of the world's problems can be attributed to the fact that we misapply to individual human beings the assumption that they are a blank slate, when in reality they're one of 16 distinct kind of slates and very much defined by that. To help people understand how much defined by that they are, I would love to encourage people to do the following things. To go around and ask random people that they know these tests and see what kind of results they get. First one is the SI blind test. Dictate daily details. So it works both ways actually, but if you ask an ENFJ or an ENTJ who's SI blind to tell you the details of their day, they're literally unable to do it. So for example, for me, I got up this morning on the later side. Rachel and I called Delilah. We met up with her in South Pasadena. I went to the supermarket on the way back to get a turkey, stuffing, potatoes, cream. We also got some Martinelli's and maybe something else. And then I had to stop at the gas station to get cigarettes. Then we made our way home. Watched some cartoons, live streamed. Okay, now, to the extent that you're able to follow along with all that stuff, keep track of those details, it indicates a certain comfort with SI. For SI blind people, their eyes gloss over after the first thing I mentioned. They probably won't recall any of the details of the things I just talked about. And if you ask them to demonstrate the same ability with their own day, they won't be able to do it. ENTJs are more obviously this way because they aren't able to do it and they don't care. ENFJs are more accustomed to faking, and so they'll have a couple of fake anecdotes. You got to push a little harder on them maybe to have it really come out. But watch for the word usually and the shift to the present tense. So it's like, well, usually I have a bagel. What did you have on this morning? Well, usually I have the bagel. I grab a cup of coffee, I'm at the door, and then, I'm at work. But did you do that this morning? Well, you mean like what I eat this morning? It's like the question baffles them to a certain extent. Okay, so that test, when you see somebody who is truly SI blind, you'll go, this is a remarkable thing here that some very small portion of the population seems to suffer from, that's, as far as I know, heretofore undiagnosed. Because there's nothing wrong with them, it's just everybody has a blind spot. Unfortunately, I only have 3 tests to change everything, because I only have 3 good definitive polar tests that you can use in this fashion. Test 2 is for NE blind, it's expert intuition blind. So if I say, I've got a new invention, and I mix 2 things together. It's a hat like this, except instead of this ball on top of it, it's got a revolving 360-degree camera. Or not revolving, it's got a 360-degree camera on top of it. So, but it's warm for your head as well. So, if you ask somebody to name your invention, they might name it Head Around. They might call it the Warm and Sea. They might call it Record the Weather Record or something because it's all weather or something. I don't know. You can come up with infinite possible names for this invention. If you ask somebody any polar, they'll generally give you one if they come up with a decent one. And if you ask them for more, they won't be really able to provide any more. It's quite remarkable. Test it yourself and see. And, almost everybody else, except for those 2 types, ISTP, ISFP, are the types that can't do this test, really. They'll be able to give you at least a couple of different names. If you get somebody who's got expert intuition in the 5th slot, they're likely to give you variations of the same name. So, the warm and see, the warm and record, the warm and look, the warm and capture, right? That would be variations. If you get somebody who's truly any polar, they're likely to give you exactly one name, and that's it. It's pretty remarkable. Okay, so let's look at the 3rd test. It's what I call, there goes my head, it's what I call the Who's my mom's sister test, okay? Who's my mom's sister? So, here's the deal. If you ask this question to most people, if you say in relation to me, who's my mom's sister? Most people will say probably aunt, your aunt, or aunt. Some people might say, if they know you, you mean Judy? So you have to say, pretend the guy Tom. Who's Tom's mom's sister in relation to Tom? If you get an answer like family, then you're probably looking at an ESFP. If you get an answer, some bullshit non-answer like, that kind of black and white thinking really isn't useful, I don't think it really helps us, then you're probably dealing with an ENFP. Regardless, if you ask those kind of genealogy questions and or deductive reasoning questions like syllogistic logic, although TI blind is probably better able to fake the syllogistic logic than they are the genealogy questions. Genealogy questions are pretty solid tests, and if you ask a few of them, okay, well, who's my dad's mom's husband in relation to me? You'll find out quickly there are people out there, a lot of people who cannot tell you. Well, not a lot, but a good percentage of the population who cannot tell you the answers to those kind of questions at all. They're TI blind. Everybody has a blind spot like this, okay? This attributes, we're talking about 6 specific types here. SI blind are your ENTJs, ENFJs. NE blind are your ISTPs, ISFPs, and TI blind are your ESFPs and ENFPs. But everybody has a blind spot. It's just these 3 tests are particularly difficult to game consistently. They hit. You can tell where somebody's slot is with these tests in general. I can, but you can definitely tell, if nothing else, polar when you encounter it. So if that's all, and that's all these things are guaranteed to sort of do, is to tell you when somebody's polar. And you'll encounter these things, and you'll see for yourself, okay, there's got to be something in this attentional manner thing. Because, as a matter of fact, this person who's TI blind is, in fact, also an action type, obviously, an NE Dom or an SE Dom. And it becomes pretty convincing. And why does this change everything? Because, like I said at the beginning, most of the things that are wrong with the world stem from the fact that we operate under a false assumption that every individual is an example of the same basic raw template of thing, tabula rasa, blank slate, and that differences are particularist, when actually it's the exact opposite. We're all very much examples of our template, one of 16 specific and finite number, very concrete 16 possible templates, and are very much defined by that. So try it yourself. If you don't think I'm onto something here, or we're onto something in the typology community, no, don't trust anybody's words about typology but mine, basically. But if you don't think that this is onto something, try it yourself. Go out in the world and ask people these questions. You too will encounter these odd instances of a total lack of ability to handle any of these kind of skills tests, right? That is deviant from the rest of the population. And that's pretty convincing with a lot of other sort of things you can kind of mix in there too. It gets really, really convincing. And since it solves the problem, namely of the faulty assumption, the more that people accept this to be the case, what we can infer from this, the 16 templates and stuff, the better the world will be. And also I just want to say, if you like this painting behind me, it's a picture I took of this painting from a gallery in Hollywood called Wacko. I don't know the artist's name, but I do want to make sure I'm going to link to the place, and if I can find the artist's name, I'll link to her page or whatever as well. I like this painting a lot. I think it's great. If I ever were somebody to buy a painting, this might be very, very much a painting I would buy. You got to be pretty rich to be buying paintings, but come on. How rad is this? So rad. This lady's head floating with all these cats playing with her hair. It's great. Alright, thanks for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.